Raymundo writes, "Hello, crew. A few weeks back, you were talking about how many people that go to film school don't become directors or involved in making movies. On another show, you mentioned that most people that become big names in Hollywood are because they know someone in the industry. Does having a BA or AA matter at all? Are degrees something that studios take into consideration? Should people just not bother going to school and just make small films in hopes to make it big someday?"
Well, as someone who went to film school, it's actually, yeah, when you go out into the actual working world, it doesn't really help you very much.
Where'd you go to film school?
UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
So the only time it really helps you is when you get an entry-level job.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you take that entry-level job, they see, okay, you went to film school, so you actually are interested. But other than that, it's two things: networking and your reel/resume. And your reel is like if you're a director, cinematographer, editor, visual effects artist, or whoever you are, actors as well. That's the most important thing, because people judge you on that versus like, oh, you went to so-and-so film school. They don't really care.
I think personally, and this my douche factor is going to go through the roof on this one. I know it. Okay, I did a ton of NYU student films when I was in New York. When I lived there, I've done a lot of USC student films out here. I've done like New York Film Academy, all those kind of ones when I was doing a lot more acting. I think that if you go to NYU or you go to USC, that gets you a bigger foot in the door than a lot of other film schools, especially for actors. I don't know so much for filmmakers, but but really in today's world, go out and make it. Make something. Find people that are really good. Find people that are visual effects artists. If the story is good and the production is good, you will get your foot ahead. In Hollywood, it's when luck meets opportunity and preparation. So if you have an amazing reel and you have an amazing body of work and you're given the opportunity and that luck just so happens to step in your door, I don't think it really has anything to do with film school. That has nothing to sell your degree short. I mean, I went to college for none of this. But the NYU student films and the USC student films were no better than any other thing that I've worked on outside of those big schools, really and truly. They were good. They were fine. They were decently written. They had decent production value, but they weren't any better than something I did with New York Film Academy or something that I did with just some people off Craigslist that were going to make a movie. It really is your brain and what you've produced. I don't think it has much to do with the degree.
I also think too, going to like schools like that, you're talking about NYU or USC, you're talking about like actual networking. Like I went to UC Santa Barbara. You know, I didn't really, the people there, I would probably say most of the people who graduated from my film studies program did not make a career into the entertainment industry. There's probably a small percentage, but most of them didn't. And so you're kind of, where I think USC and NYU, there's probably a higher percentage. A lot of networking. Also, I'm not going to say like film school is worthless, because besides the networking, you also learn a lot about film history and theory, and hopefully maybe some production. Also, I think that discipline. That's the thing, is you have to figure out what kind of person you are. And I figured out kind of after film school that I'm actually more of a self-motivator. So I learned a lot of stuff after I left film school. But some people aren't like that. Some people need those classes. They have to go to class. They have to, have someone to tell them you have to learn this or that. And I think you have to decide what kind of person you are.
And there's two types of people in entertainment on the behind the camera kind of a thing, right? There's the people that talk about doing things and then do them half-assed, and there are people that actually do them and do them 100%. And you learn, I think, a lot of that dedication in film school, because they have to get it done. And the feeling of actually doing something and going through with it is so gratifying that when you actually produce the product, it's you. That's there. It's yours. You just haven't talked about it and then talked about it and talked about it and talked about it and never did it. Film school actually puts you in there. And it also, I think, too, it gives you a really cool thing of like, I learned a lot about post-production. I learned a lot about the filmmaking process. I learned, but you can't take away from the pricelessness of actually being on set and watching somebody make a movie, because you learn so much more that way.
And also, when you get on set to work a job, they don't go through your resume and go, oh, you went to so-and-so film school or blah, blah, blah. They just got to look and see, can you do the job they asked you to do?
But at USC or NYU, when Robert Zemeckis shows up to read your resume, you'd kind of like have to take take it.
Sinead, what are your thoughts about this?
Well, there's a saying that's, it's 20% talent and 80% who you know as soon as you move to LA. And sadly, it's true. And
I think it's more like 2% talent,
Yeah.
98% who you know.
Honestly, like I've done this my whole life. Like I started when I was 3 years old doing commercials and was kind of like forced into it. But once I moved out to
Forced
LA,
into it.
forced into it, I had a momager who would take me.
Momager.
Oh, I gotta
She
meet
would
Mrs.
take me, and
DeFries.
I was in like Kellogg's cornflakes commercials as a wee little one in South Africa. But
Could you do your voice like from the Kellogg's
oh,
South
I
African?
sang "Oh What a Beautiful Morning." That one. But yeah, and so once I moved to LA, I remember it was like a couple weeks of just like talking to people. And before I knew it, I had an agent. And I met my agent simply because I introduced myself to every single person that I met. And then my manager, now Mark, Christian, and I all have the same manager. And it's all like who you know. It's like you talk to people, you get introduced to people. And when people from Chicago ask me like, I want to move to LA, like I want to do what you're doing, what's your advice? I'm like, you have to come out here, first of all. You can't do anything from over there. You have to come out here and you have to talk to people. Because like you can go to school for 4 years, and we were joking about this before. I said I went to school for like 3.5 minutes and then I dropped out. And it's true. Because I was like, I'm not doing anything in Chicago. Chicago was great for theater and I loved theater, but I knew I wanted to do TV, film. I wanted to do that. And the only way to do it was to get here and then just to meet a bunch of people. And once you meet people, you build up connections, and that's that.
Well, also, we're missing one main component. We talk about who you know, and we talk about talent, but also hard work. Because there's a lot of talented people out there that don't put in the work,
Right.
and they just sit on their couch and they're like, oh, I'm going to do that one day, some way.
Just like Shia
down,
LaBeouf says.
down the line.
Yeah.
Do it.
So
Just do it.
Yeah, so you actually have to apply that hard work. And you know, the thing is, who you know definitely helps a lot. But once you get it, that helps you get into that position. But if you can't,
You have to be able to back it up.
it's a sink or swim. Like if you
Right.
can't swim, you get thrown out there and like you can't do the job. asked of
Especially
you.
like nowadays where everybody is doing it out here. Like in LA, every single person you meet is in the same business as you are. So if you're not working as hard as the next person, you are really disposable in that sense.
Be irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Be the best.
And be likable and,
be a good
friendly,
person.
because the people don't want to work with people who are not friendly.
Right.
Back in the day,
No matter how talented you are.
Right.
back in the day, a-holes could get work and demand all this stuff. Now, if you're an a-hole, see ya, we'll get somebody else. Because there's way more talented people and way more people willing to do the work than some jago that comes in and is like, I need my writer, I need this, I'm out and I want 10 million. Like, well,
That's
we
why.
can
That's
get
why we
so-and-so.
jettisoned David.
He's
Yeah, that's
during the
actually
show, we're
why
like,
David's here.
we're like Audi 5000.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.